I'm going to present to you 4 attributes: leadership for learning, leadership for collaborative culture, leadership for continuous change, and vision-driven leadership. I hope you can pick up 1 or 2 and apply them in your own context. But if you grab the 4, that will be great. Attribute 1, leadership for learning. Leadership, learning, 2 ideas at the heart of education. In a speech prepared for John F. Kennedy to be given on that day in Dallas in 1963, we were to be reminded that leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Indispensable elements are those elements that are absolutely incapable of being disregarded or removing from each other. This intrinsic relationship between leadership and learning is significantly relevant of today's education, as articulated in the vision, mission, goals of the schools to focus on student learning. Leadership for learning is a fundamental attribute of the school leaders because it is about setting direction, taking responsibility for putting student learning at the center and keeping it there. This becomes increasingly complex in the 21st century setting, calling for innovation, going beyond the heroics of individual leaders, such that leadership for learning needs to recognize that teachers and students as global citizens, welcome innovation, embrace change and challenges, provide and expose teachers and students to authentic real-world learning experiences beyond classrooms, develop learning culture where strengths are allowed to flourish, use e-tools for local and global good. For this, there are 5 principles of leadership for learning. Principle 1. Leadership for learning practice involves maintaining a focus on learning as an activity. This principle believes that learning is an activity, that everyone can perform and can do something and learn from it. That learning relies on the effective interplay of social, emotional, and cognitive processes. That the efficacy of learning is highly sensitive to context and in the differing ways in which people learn. Principle 2. Leadership for learning practice involves creating conditions favorable to learning as an activity. This principle believes that culture nurtures the learning of everyone, that everyone has opportunities to reflect on the nature, skills, and the processes of learning, that physical and social spaces stimulate and celebrate learning, that safe and secure environments enable everyone to cope with failure and respond positively to challenges, and that tools and strategies are used to enhance thinking about learning and practice teaching. Principle 3. Leadership for learning practice involves creating a dialogue about leadership for learning. This principle believes that practice is made explicit, discussable, and transferable, that there is active collegial inquiry focusing on the link between leadership and learning, that coherence is achieved through the sharing of values, understandings, and practices, that the link between leadership and learning is a shared concern for everyone, and the different perspectives are explored through networking with researchers and practitioners across national and cultural boundaries. Principle 4. Leadership for learning practice involves the sharing of leadership. This practice believes that the structures support participation in developing a school as a learning community. That shared leadership is symbolized in a day-to-day flow of activities of the school. That everyone is encouraged to take the lead as appropriate to task and context. That the experience and expertise of the staff, students, parents are promoted and drawn upon as resources. That the collaborative effort and patterns of work and activity across boundaries of subject, role, and status are valued. Principle 5. Leadership for learning practice involves shared sense of accountability. This principle believes that a systematic approach to self-evaluation is embedded at classroom, school, and community levels. That there is a focus on evidence with the core values of the school. That a shared approach to internal accountability is a precondition of accountability to external agencies. That national policies are recast in accordance with the school's core values. That the school chooses how to tell its own story, taking account of its political realities. That there is a continuing focus of sustainability, succession, and leaving a legacy. The principles of leadership for learning make us aware that leadership and learning are not separable. That learning is an activity, that creating favorable conditions for learning as an activity, dialogue for leadership and learning, shared leadership, and the shared sense of accountability are essential in leadership for learning. Attribute 2. Leadership for collaborative culture. Leadership for collaborative culture is a process to guide a diverse group of people to find solutions to complex problems that affect them all. It should bring the appropriate people together in constructive ways, with good information, creating visions, strategies for addressing the shared concerns of the school. Question: how to build a collaborative culture? To build a collaborative culture, members of the school community share the belief that working collaboratively is the best way to reach the goals of the school. Develop organizational structures that allow teachers to form teams and work together. Agree on norms so teams can work effectively. Define a vision on what students should know and be able to do. Then set goals to achieve the vision. But part of the change process is the challenges, such as teachers are so busy that it is difficult to put immediate concerns on hold to consider a question posed in a study group, or to take the time to reach consensus on major instructional decisions. Teaching historically has been characterized by a culture of isolation. This culture of isolation has kept teachers from working together and supporting each other, and has made it more difficult to learn from colleagues. As people confront these ingrained challenges and begin to change these beliefs and practices, tensions and disagreements inevitably arise. These challenges must not keep a school from reforming successfully. Instead, a collaborative effort of the school and its staff should find ways that will make changes in practice and culture successful. Student achievement is the top priority for all schools. And student success depends on a sustained effort by interdependent team to achieve the objective. Continuous school improvement refers to the process of implementing a planned strategy and measuring the effectiveness in student outcomes over an extended period of time. The Center for Creative Leadership shares four-phase change process. These are the 4 Ds: discovering, deciding, doing, and discerning. First phase, discovering. While change is a necessity, not all change is a necessity right now. The process of discovering allows you to identify viable opportunities for change. Later, having identified those opportunities, decisions can be made about which ones to pursue. The goal is to identify the most important opportunities. Discovering requires stepping back, calling a time out to do a thorough appraisal of possibilities. I think you're familiar of the SWOT analysis. So you're going to look at the strength, the weakness, opportunities, and threats. So part of that analysis would be the scanning. In the scanning, you can have the internal scanning or external scanning. This is now the collection of valid information about the current state of affairs. When you have all these possibilities and opportunities, then you have a visioning. Visioning is creating a clear picture of the desired future. The second phase is deciding. Deciding actions determine what must change in the organization to implement the vision. This is the time when you're going to diagnose. This is the current state and this is the future state or the desired state. You're going to look into the gaps. What are the gaps that we will do something to close the gap and to be able to attain that desired state? So that in the decision process, you're going to diagnose and look at the opportunities. And then, while doing it, you're going to focus and prioritize. So if there are like 10 opportunities, the team might single out like 3 opportunities that you feel this would address the most important issues to be able to close the gap and reach the desired state. Once these opportunities are already identified, okay, like 80%, 85%, this would work, or maybe 90%. Then the next thing to do is that they're going to prepare a roadmap or action plan. And here they're going to decide the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how. That is in the decision phase. After that will be the third phase. This is doing. In complex, continuous change, executing or doing is always happening. But helping people understand what to pay attention to and why at any given moment requires constant communication. In the doing phase, communication plays a very, very important role. As school leader, you may assign like regular meeting with the team so that they would be able to express their concerns and issues, their successes and failures in the implementation, then that could be addressed. So working by teams helps the overall change process be faster and more effective. The fourth phase is discerning. Discerning is aligning and integrating change efforts requires real time. Assessing what is being accomplished compared to what was expected requires reflection. If doing requires constant communication, discerning requires thorough reflection. Finally, the whole point of learning is to adjust actions going forward so that more can be accomplished. Continuous school improvement strategies must undergo regular evaluation and alteration to meet challenges that arise. Continuous school improvement is not a quick fix for immediate results, but a sustained effort by all involved to effect meaningful and lasting change management. To fit into the 21st century and continue to ensure that students become learners who constantly engage in their learning. They must ensure that students are emotionally attached to what they learn, which will turn them to be independent learners. Vision-driven leadership refers to school leaders engage teachers in collaborative conversations about what students need to know and be able to do, as well as what faculty truly value, believe, and are committed to. School leaders and teachers then collaboratively develop a vision and formulate goals and strategies to achieve that vision. They are accountable to their ethical, moral commitment to effectively prepare students for the 21st century. Good organizations convey a strong vision where the organizations will be in the future. As a leader, you have to get your followers to trust you and be sold on your vision. To sell them on your vision, you need to possess energy and display a positive attitude that is contagious. People want a strong vision of where they are going. No one wants to be stuck in a dead-end organization going nowhere, or organization headed in the wrong direction. They want to be involved with a winner. And your followers are the ones who will get you there. You cannot do it alone. Trust me. Thus, vision is the first step in goal setting. When setting goals, keep these points in mind. Goals should be realistic and attainable. They should improve the organization, the morale of the people, monetary, and others. Many people as possible should be involved in the goal-setting process. They will feel a sense of ownership that will drive them to achieve it. A process should be developed to achieve each goal. When the process is in place, together the teams will work on to achieve that vision. The attributes of the 21st century school leaders are very crucial to prepare the students holistically to face the challenge of the 21st century working environment. At this point, allow me to reiterate the attributes of the 21st century school leaders. Leadership for learning, leadership for collaborative culture, leadership for continuous change, and vision-driven leadership. And I would like to close my presentation with a wrap-up and reflective questions. The 21st century school leadership requires leaders to recognize teachers and students as global citizens, welcome innovation, embrace change and challenges. School leaders in the 21st century influence teachers to understand the importance of learning as an activity, the importance of creating a learning environment that is creative, authentic, and relevant to students who function within a globally connected world. That they value the importance of building and sustaining a collaborative culture, so continuous change for the improvement of students becomes a practice. And they are visionary and communicate to the staff the vision in the manner that the entire staff would understand exactly what this vision is, how to achieve it, and what's next. I hope you could pick up some interesting points from my presentation that you can take home and apply in your own context. To end our session, I pose reflective questions to ponder upon.